Emma moved like clockwork through the small diner, refilling coffee, wiping tables, and offering polite smiles. She didn't talk much. Most of the regulars liked her that way. She was kind, quick, and invisible when needed. No one asked where she came from, and she never gave anyone a reason to ask. To everyone in town, Emma was just a quiet waitress with tired eyes. It was a Tuesday afternoon when everything changed. The diner was half full, soft country music playing in the background. Emma was serving pie to an old couple when her phone buzzed in her apron. She checked it quickly. No name, just a number. Unknown. Her breath caught. Her fingers trembled slightly as she stepped into the corner by the coffee machine and answered. "Da," she said, the word almost a whisper. She spoke in Russian, fast, quiet, a few short sentences, her voice tense. A man in the far corner of the diner stopped eating. He had come in 15 minutes earlier, ordered black coffee, and hadn't touched it since. His coat was worn, but his posture was too straight, too alert. When Emma spoke Russian, his eyes lifted. He didn't move, but something shifted in his face. Recognition. Emma hung up, pretending nothing had happened. She turned back to her work, but her hands were stiff. The man stood up silently, placed a 20 on the table, and left. He didn't look at her as he walked past, but Emma felt his presence like a shadow crawling along her spine. The rest of the shift passed slowly. She smiled, served, nodded, but she didn't speak unless needed. And when the final table left, she didn't stay to clean up. She clocked out fast and left through the back door. The night air was cold. Her boots crunched over the gravel behind the diner. Her apartment was 3 blocks away, a tiny place above a closed bookstore. But tonight, as she walked, she checked over her shoulder twice, then a third time. A black car was parked near the alley, engine off. She had never seen it before. She turned into a grocery store instead, pretending to shop. She wandered the aisles. Without buying anything, her thoughts racing. That voice on the phone, it had been 8 years. How had they found her? Emma finally walked home 2 hours later. The car was gone. Or maybe it had just moved. She locked the door behind her, bolted the windows, and turned on only one light. She stood in the small kitchen, staring at her old phone. The screen was black, but she kept expecting it to ring again. Midnight passed. Still, she didn't sleep. She sat on the edge of her couch with a bag packed beside her, just in case. When the knock came, it was soft, almost polite. She froze. Another knock. Slower. Not hurried. She picked up a knife from the counter and moved to the door. No one was outside, just the silence of the street. But when she looked down, a white envelope was wedged under the door. She bent down slowly and picked it up. There were no stamps, no name, just one thing written on the front in black ink. Coordinates. She opened it carefully. Inside, a printed slip of paper. 43 1187 degree N, 89.3608 degree W. Packlight. That was it. Emma didn't speak. She didn't panic. She just folded the paper neatly, placed it in her pocket, and walked back inside. She stared at her packed bag. Her fingers traced the zipper. Then she turned out the light. The waitress named Emma had vanished once before, and now she might have to do it again. The morning sun filtered through the blinds of the empty diner, but Emma wasn't there. Her name was still on the schedule, her apron still hung behind the counter, but the coffee pots remained cold. The regulars came and left, confused. No one had seen her since yesterday. Miles away, Emma sat in the back of a speeding black SUV, with tinted windows. She hadn't slept. The coordinates from the note had led her to an empty warehouse on the edge of town. At exactly 4 a.m., a black vehicle had pulled up, and the back door opened. No words were exchanged. She got in. The man driving never looked back at her. Now the SUV moved quietly through the countryside. Emma stared out the window, her bag on, her lap, her thoughts heavy. She hadn't spoken since she got in. Her phone was gone, taken the moment she stepped into the car. Her name didn't matter now, not here, not with them. They finally stopped outside a private airfield, where a small jet waited, engines humming low like a sleeping beast. Another man waited beside the stairs, wearing a gray coat, black gloves, and a stone expression. As Emma stepped out of the SUV, his eyes locked onto hers. "You were told never to speak," he said quietly, his voice calm but sharp. Emma didn't respond. The man in the gray coat nodded once and gestured toward the jet. "You've already been seen. That changes things," she paused. "Who was in the diner?" The man raised an eyebrow. "You saw him." Emma nodded. "He saw you. And now they know." Emma's chest tightened. They boarded the jet in silence. Once inside, Emma noticed 2 more men seated in the back, faces half hidden behind sunglasses. The jet lifted off quickly. No safety instructions, no announcements. Just the quiet hum of engines and tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Emma sat near the window, clutching her bag. Her mind raced. It had been years since her last mission. Since she disappeared and built a quiet life with a fake name. Fake records and a smile that never reached her eyes. She had promised herself she was done with all of it. But now, with just one phone call in Russian, everything had come crashing back. Across from her, the man in the gray coat finally spoke again. "There's been a breach," he said. "We believe someone on the inside exposed your location." Emma's eyes narrowed. "So this isn't a mission. This is a cleanup." He gave a small nod. "Correct, but not just of you." Emma leaned forward slightly. "Who else?" The man handed her a photo. It showed the stranger from the diner, the man who had left early, who had watched her too closely. This man was not random. He was looking for someone who sounded like you. He didn't follow you by accident. He was testing you. Emma stared at the photo, then leaned back, her jaw tight. The man in the coat continued. "He's ex-directorate. Rogue. Possibly working with foreign handlers. And he knows you're alive." A heavy silence followed. "Why now?" Emma finally asked. "Because he's dying," the man said. "And dying men don't stay quiet." Emma's heart pounded. Then the man said something she didn't expect. "You were his last mistake. Now he wants to fix it." The jet turned slightly, heading east, far from where anyone would expect her to be. Cliffhanger. The man in the gray coat opened a hidden compartment beneath his seat and handed Emma a sealed envelope. Inside was a new identity, a new passport, and one photo. A girl, no more than 10 years old, with Emma's eyes. She's the reason he came back. Emma stared at the picture in silence. And in that moment, she knew. The past hadn't just found her. It had never truly let her go. The jet landed just before dawn, in a place where snow covered everything like a cold secret. Emma stepped off the stairs with her coat tight around her, the photo of the girl still hidden in her pocket. The man in the gray coat said nothing. He simply nodded toward the car waiting for them, a black sedan already running, steam rising from the exhaust in the freezing air. They drove in silence. Trees passed by, white and bare. Emma stared out the window, but her mind wasn't there. It was still on the photo. A young girl, maybe 10 years old. Dark hair, green eyes. Her eyes. Emma finally broke the silence. Where is she? The man didn't look at her. Safe. For now. Emma turned sharply toward him. I want answers. Who is she? Where is she? Why does she look like me? He sighed. Her name is Alina. She's in hiding. But if he finds her first... Emma felt a chill deeper than the cold outside. They pulled up to a hidden facility. No signs, no guards at the front. Just a concrete structure buried under snow and trees. Inside, everything was clean, cold, and quiet. A woman in a lab coat met them and led them to a small room. On the table were files, dozens of them. Emma opened one and froze. It was a mission report, dated 11 years ago. Her own mission. She had gone undercover in Russia for nearly 2 years, under a deep alias. But that mission had ended in fire, and she had been told to vanish. She was told everything had been lost, including the child. Emma's hand trembled slightly. She survived? She asked, barely above a whisper. The man nodded. We kept it from you. You had enemies. We didn't know who we could trust. Emma's face hardened. You didn't trust me. We had to keep her hidden, even from you. Emma looked at the photo again. Alina. The girl who had her eyes, her smile, her blood. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Alarms blared. The man in the gray coat cursed and grabbed his radio. We have company. Emma stood up fast. How? He looked grim. The call. The one you answered at the diner. It wasn't just a warning. It was a signal. Gunshots echoed in the distance. The lab worker pulled a keycard from her coat. There's a back tunnel. It leads to a safe house in the forest. You need to go, now. Emma didn't hesitate. She ran. Through long, white halls, past locked doors and old memories. The man in the gray coat followed close behind, covering the rear. They reached a steel door, and the lab worker swiped the keycard. The door opened with a loud hiss. Snow hit Emma's face like knives as she stepped into the forest. The cold air burned her lungs. She didn't stop. In the trees, black figures moved. The enemy was here. But Emma didn't care. Now, she had something to fight for. Not a mission, not a country, a daughter. Cliffhanger. As they reached the safe house, a small cabin buried deep in the woods, a figure stepped from the shadows. It was him, the man from the diner. Older now, worn, but those same sharp eyes. He looked at Emma, and for the first time, he spoke. She doesn't know who you are. Yet. Emma's hand went to her side, reaching for the hidden gun. The man raised his hand slowly. I didn't come to fight. I came to warn you. Emma's eyes narrowed. Warn me about what? His voice was low, cold. They're not just after her, Emma. They're after all of us. And behind him. More shadows moved. Not soldiers. Children. Clones. Snow fell gently on the roof of the old wooden cabin. But inside, tension gripped the air like a silent scream. Emma stood near the fireplace, one hand still close to her hidden gun. Across the room, the man from the diner stood calm, watching her with those sharp, cold eyes. You're lying, Emma said. The man didn't flinch. No, I wish I was. Behind him, the children stepped out from the shadows. 5 of them. All between the ages of 8 and 12. They didn't speak. They didn't cry. But Emma saw it right away. One girl had her walk, one boy had her eyes, and another had her smile. They weren't just children. They were copies. Clones? Emma whispered. The man nodded slowly. They were created from stolen DNA. Yours. Mine. Others like us. Emma's stomach twisted. Why? To build the perfect spies. Children with no past, no loyalty, just training and programming. He paused. They were part of the project we destroyed. She stepped forward. I thought we ended that nightmare. So did I, he replied. The man's name was Victor. Years ago, he and Emma had worked together on deep missions, trusted no one but each other, until it all fell apart, until he disappeared. I went underground, he said. Found what they were doing. And I ran. I've been protecting them ever since. Emma looked at the children. Why now? Why reveal this? Victor's voice dropped. Because they've found us. Your call at the diner, it was monitored. It triggered a trace. They know you're alive. And worse, they know she's alive. Emma's heart froze. Alina. A sound outside made everyone stop. Crunching snow. Victor raised his finger to his lips. Silence. Then, a bang on the door. 3. Sharp knocks. The cabin's lights flickered. Emma drew her gun. Victor looked at her and whispered, They're here. The door burst open. A man in a black tactical suit stepped in, followed by 2 more. No insignias, no names, just silent killers. Emma fired. So did Victor. The fight was fast and brutal. One of the children screamed, another grabbed a hidden knife, and protected the younger ones. Emma moved like fire, graceful and deadly. When it was over, 3 enemies lay on the floor. One of them still breathing, groaning in pain. Emma knelt beside him and yanked off his mask. She didn't recognize the face, but the tattoo on his neck chilled her blood. A red star with a serpent inside. She turned to Victor. I've seen this before, he nodded grimly. It's them. The group that built the cloning labs. The ones we thought were gone. Emma stood, panting. Then we end it, this time for real. Victor looked at the children. It's not just about us anymore. They want the girl. Emma's eyes narrowed. Then we find her before they do. Cliffhanger. That night, as they burned the bodies in the snow to leave no trace, one of the children, the smallest girl with Emma's same eyes, handed her a folded note. Emma opened it. Inside were coordinates, written in red ink, and one word. Alina. Emma stared at it, her hands trembling. The location was far, but real, and someone else knew it too. Somewhere in the distance, a satellite camera zoomed in on the cabin's smoke. A voice in a dark room whispered, She's moving. Begin phase 2. The sun barely touched the frozen trees as Emma gripped the wheel of the old truck, the map shaking slightly in her hand. Beside her sat Victor, loading the last bullets into his sidearm. In the back, 3 of the children huddled together under blankets, their eyes wide but silent. The smallest girl, the one with Emma's eyes, held onto the note that had started all this, Alina's location. The road was narrow and winding. Snow and branches cracked under the tires. They were heading north, farther than any of them had, gone in years. The place marked on the map was deep inside a restricted forest zone. No towns, no roads, just silence. Emma couldn't stop thinking. Alina. The name haunted her. Years ago, when she and Victor were part of an elite spy unit known as Black Echo, Alina had been their leader, cold, brilliant, and deadly. But Alina betrayed them. She had turned against the mission, vanished during a failed extraction, and was presumed dead. But now, someone wanted her alive, and they were not the only ones looking. As they drove deeper, Victor pulled out a satellite phone. "We have company," he said grimly, checking encrypted data. Emma glanced at him. "Who?" "Drones. 2 of them. Heat signatures are tracking us, but that's not all. A private strike team just landed 20 miles out. Black helmets, red star logo. Same group from the cabin." Emma clenched her jaw. "They want Alina." Victor looked at her. No, they want her mind. She built the cloning software. Without her, their project fails. A sudden noise made everyone jump. A loud crack. The truck jolted. Emma swerved just in time to avoid the spike strip across the road. Too late. The back tires blew. The truck spun out and slammed into a tree. Victor was out in seconds, weapon raised. Emma followed, helping the children out. The woods around them were too quiet. Then, movement. Figures in black, fast and trained, rushed from the trees. Gunfire. Emma pulled the smallest girl behind the truck. Victor opened fire, taking down 2 enemies, but more came from behind. It was an ambush. Suddenly, a new sound echoed through the forest. A loud crack from high above, then silence. One of the attackers dropped a hole in his helmet. Then another. From the trees, a figure stepped out, tall, cloaked in white camouflage. Her rifle was long, military grade, and she moved with precision. Emma froze. She knew that stance, that aim, that ghost-like movement. The woman pulled back her hood. It was Alina, older, tired, but still deadly. She approached slowly, lowering her weapon. Emma didn't know whether to hug her or shoot her. Alina spoke first. "You shouldn't have come." Victor raised an eyebrow. "That's the thanks we get?" Alina ignored him. "They followed you. Now they'll never stop." Emma stepped forward. "Why did you disappear? Why hide?" Alina's face tightened. "Because I knew what they were planning, and I needed time to stop it. But I failed. They're ready now." Emma pointed to the children. "They used us. They created them." Alina nodded. "And now they want the last piece. My mind." She turned to the child with Emma's eyes. "And her DNA." The girl backed away slightly, but Alina knelt, offering a gentle smile. "You're the key," she whispered. "You're the last chance." Before Emma could ask what she meant, a distant rumble echoed through the trees. More drones, more troops. Alina stood. "We move now. There's a bunker 2 miles east. I have data there, evidence, and one final weapon." Emma frowned. "Weapon?" Alina didn't answer. Instead, she looked at them all and said quietly, "This is bigger than us now. If we fail, the project won't just control spies." She looked at the children. "It'll control the next generation." Cliffhanger. As they moved through the woods, the smallest girl turned to Emma and asked, "If I was made, then who am I really?" Emma stopped. She had no answer. Above them, a drone lens zoomed in, locking onto Alina's face. In a distant base, a red light turned on. A voice said coldly. The cold wind howled through the forest as Emma, Victor, Alina, and the children pushed forward. Each step felt heavier, not just from the snow, but from the weight of what they carried: secrets, betrayal, and the fate of something bigger than all of them. Alina moved quickly through the trees, like she had memorized every branch and rock. She had been hiding here for years, preparing for this moment. They reached a narrow gap between 2 cliffs. Hidden behind thick bushes and frozen vines was a steel door. Alina pressed her hand to a scanner, and the door slid open with a hiss. Inside was a dark tunnel leading deep underground. No one spoke as they entered. Lights flickered on automatically. Emma kept the children close. She could feel the fear in them, especially the youngest, the girl with her eyes. That child was the real target now, not for who she was, but for what was inside her. Alina stopped in front of a large sealed room. "This is where it ends," she said quietly. Inside the room were servers, old machines, and hard drives full of data. But in the center was a strange glass capsule. It pulsed faintly, like it was breathing. Emma stared. "What is that?" Alina replied. "The code. Everything they need to control people like us. Like her," she added, nodding at the little girl. "That capsule holds the core AI of Project Echo. If they get it, they can create perfect human weapons, minds they can erase, bodies they can reprogram." Victor stepped forward. "So we destroy it." Alina looked at him. "Yes, but not yet." Emma frowned. "Why not?" "Because there's a signal in the forest," Alina said. "One final transmitter keeping this place on the grid. We destroy that first, then the AI. Or they'll trace it even if it's offline." Victor growled. "Then let's go." But before they could move, alarms blared. Red lights flashed. Alina's face turned pale. "They're already here." A screen blinked to life. A masked man appeared, cold eyes behind a black helmet. "Alina, Emma, we meet at last. Step away from the child and surrender, or we flatten the mountain." Emma stepped forward. "We're not surrendering anything." The man smiled cruelly. "You misunderstand. You're not in control." Outside, the ground shook. Explosions echoed across the forest. Drones flew in, scanning every tree. Black-helmeted soldiers closed in from every direction. Alina turned to Emma. "You and the children, go to the escape tunnel. Victor and I will handle the servers and buy you time." Emma grabbed her arm. "No, we stay together." "No," Alina said. "That girl is the future. You're the only one she trusts. If they take her, they win." Tears filled Emma's eyes. She wanted to scream, but she nodded. Victor gave her a tired smile. "Go. And if you see daylight again, raise her better than they raised us." Emma hugged him for the first and last time. Then she ran. Down the narrow escape tunnel, snow blowing in from the other side, gunfire behind her, shouts. And then, a final explosion shook the ground. Far behind her, the mountain cracked. Alina had triggered the core bomb. Everything went white. Silence. Later, Emma woke up in a hospital bed. Clean sheets, bright lights. Beside her was the little girl, reading a book. Emma whispered, "We made it?" The girl nodded, but they didn't. Emma closed her eyes. For a moment, peace. Then a nurse walked in. "Miss Emma," she said, "there's a man here to see you. Russian accent. Says he's family." Emma sat up fast. "Send him in." The door opened. But it wasn't Victor. It was a new man. Young, sharp eyes. In his hand was a photo of Emma and the girl. He smiled politely. Too politely. And in his coat pocket, the tip of a black helmet. Final line. Emma stood slowly, placing herself between the child and the man. She whispered, "It's not over, is it?" He smiled again. "No, it's only just begun."